What's happening, everybody? It's Sean with Reactions to the Classics, and today we have a selection of the Guess Who with Bachman Turner Overdrive, brought to us by a friend and longtime supporter and patron of the channel, B-Mac. Thank you, B-Mac. Always appreciate you, and always appreciate the time and effort you put into putting these lists together. I know some of these songs, but I don't know a lot of these songs. You know, I was born in 1971, a little bit before my time. But a few of these songs obviously are iconic. But I really look forward to diving into this one. Here's what B-Mac said about this. He said he alternated between the Guess Who and Bachman Turner Overdrive on this list. We're going to get one of each and just keep going on like that as we go through. As the two original founders of the Guess Who, Burton Cummings and Randy Bachman, were the main songwriters of the original Guess Who, and after Randy left, he formed Bachman Turner Overdrive, or BTO as I'll probably call him from now on, and you can see the similarity in styles for these songs. Randy left in around 1970 due to conflicts around drugs, etc., and family. He said, worried of the conflict between the religious beliefs and the band's rock and roll style, Bachman, who had converted to Mormonism in 1966, left the Guess Who in 1970. He later reteamed with Allen to form Brave Belt, which evolved into Bachman Turner Overdrive. Kurt Winter joined the Guess Who after Randy left and was a perfect addition. Those guys will come in and out of this list as you look at it. And it was not a good split, as they often aren't in this thing. But Burton Cummings really came after Randy Bachman in the press for many, many years. Everybody thought Bachman was crazy for leaving. No one would give him a record deal. He finally morphed into Bachman Turner Overdrive after a few other iterations of things happened. But they didn't own the publishing rights to their songs. They only owned the writing rights. And in the early 80s, Burton came in and actually purchased them from who owned them. And Randy always thought he should give him his share, and he never has. So that's why they've never really got back together. They've had a couple little things where they got back together, but then it's always a falling out. So these guys still have a falling out sort of all these years later, and I know they're going to get together and do this charity thing, but unfortunately they've just never been able to get it well and keep it that way. But they left some really good music and made some really great music together. And I read this interview with Randy, and he was talking about, you know, Burton was 4 years younger than him, and he had promised Burton's mom that he would look after Burton when he came on to the Guess Who. Burton was only 18 at the time. Whenever you have kind of that mentor relationship, sometimes the person getting mentored is eventually going to push back. That's just kind of the youth of things, and I think that caused some issues. And Burton got heavily involved into drugs, and obviously, as I read, Randy wasn't on board with that. So that's kind of how this happened. I don't want to get into a whole bunch of that because it's a long list, and I don't want to take up your time with that, but it's important to kind of understand what happened. So we're going to start out with the Guess Who. We're going to start out with the song No Sugar Tonight / New Mother Nature off the American Woman album in 1970. B-Mac said Randy wrote No Sugar and Burton wrote New Mother Nature. Now, I'll add to that a little bit. According to Randy, the inspiration for the song arose after an incident when he was visiting California. He's walking down the street with a stack of records under his arm when he saw three tough-looking biker guys approaching. He felt threatened and was looking for a way to cross the street onto the other sidewalk when a little car pulled up to the men. A woman about 5 foot tall got out of the car shouting at one of them, asking him where he'd been all day, that he'd left her alone with the kids, didn't take out the trash, and was down here watching the girls. The man was suddenly alone when his buddies walked away. Chastened, he got in the car as the woman told him before pulling away. And one more thing, you ain't getting no sugar tonight. The word stuck in Bachman's memory. So he then wrote a short song, No Sugar Tonight. When he presented the song to Burton and RCA, he was told the song was too short. So Bachman and Cummings expanded the song by adding to it a song Burton had written called New Mother Nature. The song was originally written without the in my coffee and in my tea wording. The band was told to alter the lyrics to make the sexual connotation less obvious, though urban legend persists that No Sugar Tonight in My Coffee alludes to veiled LSD references, possibly bolstered by the later lyric, a bag of goodies and a bottle of wine. But with Bachman well known for his anti-drug lifestyle, that's probably not the case. As always, I'm going to have the lyrics up. The music will not be in the video, but if you click on the link below, there's a Vimeo link. You can watch along with me. So once again, thank you, B-Mac. Let's get after this selection. No Sugar Tonight, New Mother Nature. This is 1970 rock and roll, baby. Sounds just like it in a very good way. Really enjoyed that. And quite a dichotomy, just having these two songs together so then make a long enough song to be a proper song and be released as a single, because really two totally different things. It started out, I mentioned it, the bass work was fantastic in the first part of the song, and then No Sugar Tonight. And then everything was kind of in on New Mother Nature. And then kind of the dueling vocals almost there, singing different things, the contrast. I really enjoyed that on that second part of that song. But a really good selection, man. I don't really have much else to say about that song. It's fantastic. And now we move on to one of the most iconic songs on this list, Taking Care of Business, Bachman Turner Overdrive, off the album Bachman Turner Overdrive 2 in 1973. This has a great story too. It's written by Randy, who sang the lead vocal. He had developed what would later become Taking Care of Business while still a member of the Guess Who. His original idea was to write about a recording technician who worked on the Guess Who's recordings. This particular technician would take the 8:15 train to get to work, inspiring the lyrics, take the 8:15 into the city. In the early arrangement of the song, which had the working title White Collar Worker, the chorus riff and vocal melody were similar to that of the Beatles' Paperback Writer. When Bachman first played this version for Burton Cummings, Cummings declared he was ashamed of him and that the Guess Who would never record it because the Beatles would sue them. Bachman still felt the main riff and verses were good. It was only when the song goes to the chorus that everyone hated it. While BTO was still playing smaller venues in support of its first album, Bachman was driving into Vancouver for a gig and listening to the radio when he heard local DJ Daryl B's catchphrase, "We're taking care of business." Lead vocalist Fred Turner's voice gave out before the band's last set that night. Bachman sang some cover songs to get through the last set, and on a whim, he told the band to play the C, B flat, and F chords over and over, and he sang White Collar Worker with the new words, "Taking Care of Business," inserted into the chorus. Randy recalled, when we finished the song that night, people kept clapping, stomping, and shouting, "Taking Care of Business" over and over, so we picked up the tempo again and reprised the song for another 10 minutes. Afterwards, we all knew we had something. Yeah, for sure. After this, he rewrote the lyrics to White Collar Worker with the new chorus and the title, Taking Care of Business. The new lyrics also take a self-ironic glance at the idea of glamorous rock stars who don't really need to work, contrasted with working class men, in a vein that came way before Dire Straits' Money for Nothing a decade plus later. Bachman says then he handed over the lyrics to Fred Turner with the thought that Turner would, of course, sing the lead vocal, but Turner handed them back saying Randy should sing the lead as it would give himself a needed vocal break when the band performed live. Went to 12 in the U.S., 3 in Canada, spent 20 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100, longer than any other BTO single. In 2011, Randy said it was the most licensed song in Sony Music's publishing catalog. That is an unbelievable statement. This thing pops up in movies, commercials, those sorts of things. I definitely know this one. Just one of the catchiest songs you're ever going to find, right? It just isn't. The lyrics actually aren't bad. I mean, there's a lot of repetition because the instrumentation's fantastic and iconic all the way through from the opening of it, even to the solos in the middle. But and then we're just basically taking care of business the last half of the song. But you get up in the morning from alarm clock's warning, take the 8:15 into the city, what I referenced at the start. There's a whistle up above and people pushing, people shoving, and the girls who try to look pretty. And if your train's on time, you can get to work by 9 and start your slaving's jobs and get your pay. If you ever get annoyed, look at me. I'm self-employed. I love to work at nothing all day. And then verse 2, if it were as easy as fishing, you could be a musician if you could make sounds loud or mellow. Get a secondhand guitar, chances are you'll go far if you get in with the right bunch of fellows. And then he just goes on from that. So I really enjoy that. I mean, how can you not enjoy that song and just sing along to it, man? It's that kind of song, and I can see why it was such a fantastic hit and why it is the most licensed song, because it fits in so many situations, right? Like I said, commercials, movies, whatever, man. It's a fun song. Now I'm going to take the Spotify bar down, so we're going to go over to YouTube for a live performance. The song is Undone by the Guess Who from the Canned Wheat album all the way back in 1969. B-Max says it's a great live version with just Randy and Burton. Randy wrote this one. Went to 22 in the US, 21 in Canada. It was written by Randy after hearing Bob Dylan's Ballad in Plain D, which included the phrase, "She was easily undone." Bachman's song tells the story of a girl he had seen at a party who, after dropping acid, slipped into a coma. The song takes its structure from new jazz guitar chords Bachman had learned from his friend and neighbor, Lenny Breau. Lenny, I hope I'm saying his name right. There's a big story on him, and he's so influential, considered one of the greatest guitarists of all time. I don't really have time to go into delving all that out, but a huge influence on Randy. During the Guess Who's 2000 reunion tour, running back through Canada, Bachman's former bandmate Burton declared the song to be one of Randy's finest compositions and one of the best songs ever written by a Canadian songwriter. That is quite the praise. Bachman himself has stated that Undone is his favorite song from his time as a member of the Guess Who. I don't know this one. We're going to check it out on YouTube. Let's do it. Wow. What a freaking performance, man. That was musicianship at its finest. Obviously, the song's from 1969. The performance wasn't from 1969. It's from much, much later. And just fantastic. I didn't expect Burton to hit it up in the middle. You know, he's playing his instrument. He's singing. He's doing all the vocal runs. And Bachman's over there just playing a masterful guitar and coming in there a little bit on some backing. Man, what a powerful, powerful song. And the lyrics play out what I talked about again. She's come undone. She didn't know what she was headed for. And when I found out what she was headed for, it was too late. She found a mountain that was far too high. And when she found out she couldn't fly, it was too late. It's too late. She's gone too far. She's lost the sun. She wanted truth, but all she got was lies. Came the time to realize, and it was too late. She'd come undone. So just a catchy song, but a fantastic song. Musicianship at its finest. Now we'll be back to Bachman Turner Overdrive, looking out for number one from the Head On album in 1975, written by Randy and sung by him, strongly influenced by Randy's jazz upbringing, of course, tutelage under Lenny. Only went to 65 in the U.S. Let's check it out. Well, there you have it, looking out for number one, sung by Randy, written by him, and you know, a lot of that jazz guitar off the influence of Lenny that I talked about earlier is definitely prevalent in this one, much more chilled out, jazzy, really run there. Enjoyed it. It has a message that, you know, people aren't going to like, but it is actually been true a lot of times in my life. I'm not a selfish person, but he's kind of telling you in some instances, man, you got to look out for yourself because no one else will. There's a cliche of that, but cliches are usually there for a reason. Sometimes that's the case. And he's talking about every day is an endless train. You got to ride it to the end of the line. Be a troubleshooter, blow the bad luck away, and you will make it to your station on time. Kind of make your own luck, right? And you'll find out every trick in the book and that there's only one way to get things done. You'll find out the only way to the top is looking out for number one. I mean, you keep looking out for number one, and he just kind of repeats those things over again. But it's really just about the whole vibe of the song. The lyrics work, but it's more the instrumentation. Nice little breakdown, and something different so far on this list. Now, as you see below, we're back to the Guess Who for our fifth selection, Albert Flasher. This was a single in 1971, written by Burton, initially released as a B-side of their Broken single in 1971. It was promoted to A-side status in mid-May of that year, 13 in Canada, 29 in the U.S. The song's title came from Burton seeing a button labeled Alert Flasher on a radio broadcast console. Hey man, we got to get inspiration for wherever as songwriters, right? Because people write a lot of songs. Sooner or later, they're not all just going to come out of their head. They got to see some things or experience some things and write about them. Let's check it out. Albert Flasher. Look, I'm not going to break down the lyrics because the lyrics are pretty nonsensical, quite honestly, but they're just catchy and they work. It's all about really the piano. The drumming's fantastic. It's just a first-class band, right? A world-class instrumentation, and he makes it work with the lyrics. But yeah, I mean, I liked it. And it just goes to show you don't got to write some sort of Dylan-esque thing all the time for something to be really catchy. So that was a nice change of pace from the previous song. Now we're going to go back to Bachman Turner Overdrive. Going to go to YouTube and watch a live performance from the Not Fragile album in 1974. Yeah, it's Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. BMAC has sent me a live version with Ringo's All-Star Band. It's from 1995 at the famous Budokan Hall in Japan. On guitars on this, of course, Randy and Mark Farner. Bass, John Entwistle. Drums, Ringo and his son, Zach, who's now the Who's drummer. And keyboards, the great Billy Preston. What a band. So we're going to check that out. But this song has an interesting history. So it's going to be my longest research on here, so bear with me. But written by Randy, number one in the U.S. and Canada, as well as earning the band their really only major hit single in the U.K., went to number two. Lyrics tell of the singer meeting a, quote, devil woman who gives him love. The chorus of the song includes the song's famous stutter. Now, there's some story behind this. The chords of the chorus riff are very similar to the ones used by The Who in their song Baba O'Reilly, and also the stuttering vocal is reminiscent of My Generation. Bachman insists that the song was performed as a joke for his brother Gary, who had a stutter, with no intention of sounding like My Generation. They only intended to record it once with a stutter and send the only recording to Gary. It's what brothers do to each other. I mean, it doesn't seem real sensitive to Gary's plight, but okay. But I mean, this is what we did back in the day. It began as an instrumental piece inspired by the rhythm guitar on Dave Mason's Only You and I Know, Bachman says. It was basically just an instrumental and I was fooling around. I wrote the lyrics out of the blue and stuttered them through. The band typically used the song as a work track in the studio to get the amplifiers and microphones set properly before they started recording. But when winding up the production for the album, Charlie Foch of Mercury Records said the 8 tracks they had lacked the magic that would make a hit single. So some band members asked Bachman, what about the work track? Randy reluctantly mentioned he had this 9th song, but he did not intend to use it on a record. He said, we have this one song, but it's a joke. I'm laughing at the end. I sang it on the first take. It's sharp. It's flat. I'm stuttering to do this thing for my brother. Foch asked to hear it, and they played the recording for him. He smiled and said, that's the track. It's got brightness to it. It kind of floats a foot higher than the other songs when you listen to it. Randy agreed to rearrange the album sequence so the song could be added, but only if he could re-record the vocals first without the stutter. Foch agreed, but Bachman says, I tried to sing it normal, but I sounded like Frank Sinatra. It didn't fit. Foch said to leave it as it was with the stutter. Now, even more interesting is while it was not originally intended to be a single, it was becoming a hit as an album cut. Radio stations all across America were giving it a great deal of airplay as Not Fragile was soaring up the album charts. So much so that Bachman was embarrassed because he thought he wrote a stupid song, just something he wrote as a joke. With no singles yet released from the album, Foch would regularly call Bachman with airplay reports telling him, look, they're playing the song. It's not even out as a single, asking for permission to release it. Bachman said, I refused for 3 weeks. I was producer, so I had final say on what went out. I woke up one day and asked myself, why am I stopping this? Some of my favorite records are really dumb things like Louie Louie. So I said to Charlie, okay, release it. I bet it does nothing. Yeah, far from that. Almost everyone knows this song, even if you don't know anything about these guys. Let's check out this live performance back on YouTube. The famous You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. And that was really cool to see it with Ringo's All-Star Band. But don't worry, our next track's going to be Burton with Ringo's All-Star Band. But let's not get ahead of myself. So just fantastic, man. I mean, you know, there's not a lot to the lyrics here either because he's just throwing it together, you know. Yeah, the pre-chorus, I think that any love is good love, and so I took what I could get. She looked at me with big brown eyes and said, you ain't seen nothing yet, baby, you ain't seen nothing yet. And now I'm feeling better because I found out for sure. She took me to her doctor, and he told me of a cure. He said that any love is good love, so I took what I could get. Yes, I took what I could get, and then she looked at me with them big brown eyes and said, you ain't seen nothing yet. Just a classic song, like I said. I mean, you know, it doesn't get much more famous than this song. Now we're going to move on to the 7th track, No Time, from the Guess Who, from the Canned Wheat album in 1969. B-Max says this live version is with Ringo's All-Star Band as well, though this is from Montreux in 1992. It's Ringo, Burton, Joe Walsh, Todd Lundgren, Nils Lofgren, Dave Edmunds, and Timothy B. Schmidt. So you got a different crew and a different singer here because now we got Burton. We're going to do a little of the Guess Who. This one was composed by Randy and Burton. The song is basically a reverse Dear John letter stating, no time left for you. On the song, Randy said, that was our country rock song. Me and Burton trying to be like Neil and Stephen Stills, which, you know, Neil Young, Stephen Stills, 1969, fits in perfect. There are 2 versions of the song. The original was done for the Guess Who's album Canned Wheat, but the re-recording is featured on the American Woman album that was released as a single in 69 as the better known version. Remember, we're going to watch a live version, but just wanted you to know there's 2 versions out here. The better known version is slightly faster in tempo and has 2 verses transposed, so it does have some differences. The single peaked at 5 in the U.S., was 3rd in a string of million-selling singles that all hit number 1 in Canada for the Guess Who. It also made the top 20 in the UK and New Zealand. So back over to YouTube. Let's check it out. Wow, what a performance, right? The guitar work on here is obviously next level. All those greats on the stage at one time. No time left for you, on my way to better things. No time left for you, I'll find myself some wings. No time left for you, distant roads that call me. No time left for you, da. No time for a summer friend, no time for the love you send. Seasons change, and so did I. You need not wonder why there's no time left for you, no time left for you. So I just like, it's definitely the reverse Dear John letter. Fantastic, and like I said, the instrumentation was fantastic. And Nils Lofgren really putting it on that guitar solo. Now we're going to go back to Bachman Turner Overdrive from the 4-Wheel Drive album in 1975. We got the song Hey You, written about Burton Cummings after the Guess Who broke up. It's a letter from Bachman to Burton, how Burton threw everything they had with the Guess Who down the drain. Wow, okay. This one ought to be pretty interesting. Well, there you go, Hey You. It had a little bit of You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet in the guitar riff a little bit there. It almost sounded like he stuttered just a little bit at the end of the song, like he was having a little flashback to, you know, it's what I say. Hey, you say you want to change the world. It's all right with me. There's no regret. It's my turn. The circle game has brought me here, and I won't let down till every song is set. And then that chorus is very catchy. You realize now you should have tried now. Ooh, the music's gone now. You lost it somehow. Hey, you, sha-la-la. I always get those sha-la-las in there. Wow. Or woo, sha-la-la. Hey, you say the race is much too fast. It's okay with me. I'm keeping pace. It's my game. The music is inside my head. For every one on top, there's one who can't retrace, which, I talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but Randy actually taught Burton how to write songs. So Burton really went after Randy when he left. And so this is all the way in 1975. So Burton, I guess, is getting a dose back to him by Randy. So a really good song. Now, obviously, we're back to the Guess Who. It's Hand Me Down World from Share the Land in 1970, written by Kurt Winter, who served as the lead guitarist from 70 to 74 and then back again 77 to 78. 17 in the US, 10 in Canada. Supposedly this song was a rebellion against the older political system. So let's check out the lyrics, see what we think. Hand me down world. Don't give me no hand me down world. Once again, the vocals and the instrumentation make up for the songwriting on this. It's pretty rudimentary. Nothing wrong with it. The chorus I like, don't give me no hand-me-down shoes, don't give me no hand-me-down love, don't give me no hand-me-down world. I already got one. Anybody hear the long distance cheer for the notion? I think we missed it. Anybody here see the sky weeping tears for the ocean? We got the notion and ocean. Anybody here see the fuzzy wuzzy loving cup explosion? I think we missed it. Anybody here see the changing of the year in emotion? Explosion, emotion, yeah. It's fine. I understand the sentiment of it. But and then he just ends with that outro over and over with the harmonies and don't give it to me because I really don't want. Don't give me no hand-me-down world. So good, so powerful in that. Still a catchy tune, man. Now we're at our 10th track. We got Let It Ride by Bachman Turner Overdrive from Bachman Turner Overdrive 2 in 1973. Written by Randy and Fred Turner with Fred singing the lead vocals. 23 in the US, making it the first BTO Top 40 song in the US. Number 3 in Canada. The tune was inspired by a real-life incident, actually a traffic incident. While on tour in 1973, supporting the Doobie Brothers, the band was on a highway in their tour bus and got boxed in by a couple of trucks. When the bus and the trucks reached a rest area, the musicians confronted the truck drivers, which, by the way, I'll say I would not advise doing, but you confront somebody, walk up on them at a rest area, that might turn out bad, who responded by saying the band should take it easy and just let it ride. So catchy, right? It's not great songwriting, right? This is what we're going to come across. It's not bad songwriting. There's not in-depth songs, right? Because they're more about the instrumentation's world-class. The vocal performances on this whole thing are fantastic. We got different vocalists. We got different songwriters. But it all kind of blends into the same type of song. Really enjoyed it. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. The hook, you can see the morning, but I can see the light. Try, let it ride. Well, you've been out running. I've been waiting half the night. And would you cry if I told you that I lied? And would you say goodbye, or would you let it ride? And would you cry if I told you I lied? Would you say goodbye? Or would you let it ride? And it just kind of plays out that way. But the harmonies, the instrumentation's so catchy and so top flight. Man, really like that when it's going through my head. Almost every one of these songs catches in your head. Now we are on to an all-time classic, American Woman by the Guess Who. We're going to go back to that 1992 Ringo All-Star Band with Burton Cummings and watch that. This went to number 1 in the US and Canada, 3 in the US, 5 in Canada on year-end singles charts for the year-end of 1970. Also voted the best single of all time in Canada 2 different times in 2000 and 2005 by a couple publications. Interesting story on this one. The music and lyrics of the song were improvised on stage during a concert in southern Ontario. Bachman was playing notes while tuning his guitar after replacing a broken string, and he realized he was playing a new riff that he wanted to remember. He continued playing it, and the other band members returned to the stage and joined in, creating a jam session in which Burton improvised the lyrics. They noticed a kid with a cassette recorder making a bootleg recording and asked him for the tape. They listened to the tape, noted down the words that Cummings had made up, and which he later revised. The song lyrics have been the matter of debate, often interpreted as an attack on U.S. politics. Cummings, who composed the lyrics, said in 2013 they had nothing to do with politics. He said, "What was on my mind was that the girls in the States seemed to get older quicker than our girls and made them all, well, dangerous. When I said American woman, stay away from me, I really meant Canadian women, I prefer you." It was a happy accident because some people said this is a chauvinistic song, but when you read all about it, it's not their intention at all. Bachman, the next year in 2014, said it was an anti-war protest song, explaining that when they came up with it on stage, the band and the audience had a problem with the Vietnam War. Randy said, we have been touring the States. This was the late 60s. One time at the U.S.-Canada border in North Dakota, they tried to draft us and send us to Vietnam. We were back in Canada playing in the safety of Canada where the dance is full of draft dodgers who've all left for the States. So as it's so often in great songs, little different versions of what it means, but I know this much. This is a great song. Let's check out the live version. American Woman. What a performance, right? The live performance. That's so much energy. Everybody is just pumped. I swear it looked like Daryl Hall in the far right corner. Probably wasn't, but they just did a little glimpse of him. I'm sure that's somebody else, but I'm like, wait a minute. They never went back to him. I like the start of it. Burton did a little something different with it, and they built into it. Just, it's so powerful. And I mean, everybody knows. Well, I don't say everybody knows, but most people know some part of this song. American Woman, Stay Away From Me. American Woman, Mama, Let Me Be. Don't come and hang around my door. I don't want to see your face no more. I got more important things to do than spend my time growing old with you. Now, woman, I said stay away. American Woman, listen what I say. So I can see when this came out, if you're an American woman, you might be a little offended by this, but he's really just trying to send props to the Canadian women from his homeland. So a fantastic song, obviously, and great to watch the live. I mean, kudos to Bruce for picking these live performances. And not only just the live performance with these all-stars on here, fantastic. Now we're going to go back to Bachman Turner Overdrive, Roll On Down the Highway from the Not Fragile album in 1974, written by Fred Turner, who was on lead vocal, and Robbie Bachman. 14 in the U.S., 4 in Canada, 22 in the U.K. Only their second hit there, and also their final hit there. For some reason, the U.K. did not embrace BTO. Let's check it out. Roll On Down the Highway. And look, we're 12 songs in, and whether it's BTO, whether it's a Guess Who, there's a formula these guys use. There's some piano thrown in there, but the main thing is fantastic guitar work, fantastic drumming, and then just rocking little anthem choruses. Roll On Down the Highway. Not a lot to this song. A couple funny lines in here, though. You know, they rent a truck, and there's only 2 verses. They rent a truck in the first one, and they're going so fast that, you know, a cop sees him. They drive so fast he can't even see anymore. He doesn't know if he's even still following him. And then the second verse, they're in the wrong place, but they're about to 454 is coming over the hill, so powerful engine. The man on patrol is going to give us a bill. The time's real short. You know the distance is long. I'd rather have a jet, but it's not in this song. I love it, man. Climb back in the cab, cross your fingers for luck. We got to keep moving if we're going to make a buck. Let it roll down the highway. So that kind of made me laugh, man. Now we're going to go back to YouTube one more time, running back to Saskatoon from the Guess Who. Originally, it was only on a live album, live at the Paramount in 1972. B-Mac said he thought it'd be a good idea to have one live version with all the Guess Who members, written by Burton and Kurt Winter. US 96, Canada number 9. We're taking it from YouTube, like I said. This is from a concert in Winnipeg during their 2000 Cross Canada tour. Well, Burton on the keys there showing me, hey man, I'm here, right? Because Burton's the keyboard player. So I mentioned on the last song that the guitars and the drums are the common themes among all these songs that connect them for me musically. What a fantastic performance. We got to remember, they first recorded this in 1972. This concert's from 2000, 28 years later. And Bachman and Cummings are up there just killing it, man. Just a fantastic song. So much energy. There's a lot to watch in this live, right? Because you catch that energy. But you know, he starts out with the spoken words. I've been running, and he's like, I've been hanging around gas stations. I've been learning about tires. Been talking to grease monkeys. I've been working on cars. Moose Jaw, saw a few. Moosomin 2, running back to Saskatoon, Red Deer Terrace, and Medicine Hat, sing another prairie tune. I like, they all come in powerfully on the running back to Saskatoon. I've been hanging around libraries, been learning about books. The way Burton delivers this song is so good, man. I mean, Burton's a fantastic vocalist. All right, we got 2 songs left. Next up, Welcome Home, BTO from Bachman Turner Overdrive 2 in 1973. The only song I don't have any notes on. Let's check this one out. Welcome Home, almost like an extended jam session on this one. It's about 5.5 minutes long. I get up early in the morning and rush to catch a plane. I'm going to live inside my suitcase, back on the road again. They're writing, I don't know if it's themselves autobiographical, but as rock stars. Big stage and bright lights, try to relax before the show. So glad to be here tonight that I just can't wait to go. I got to go. Welcome home. It feels good. I'm going to save up all my money just to see if I could try to brighten my appearance with clothes from Hollywood, right? So they're starting to become something that they weren't. We're climbing up the music ladder. The girls won't leave us alone, but it really doesn't matter if we're nothing back home, welcome home. And just kind of goes on about that. They got themselves a manager, silver vet with gold wheels. I don't know if that really works, but I can't imagine that looking good. But then you just, welcome home. So good to drive in your own car with the radio on with your old lady. Said, welcome home, brother. Welcome home. So good to sleep in your own bed. Welcome home, babe. Oh, feels good. I think maybe they're going on tour and you're saying like there's nothing like home. Like, what, this is not really for us. I don't know. That's kind of what I take out of it. Nicely done song. And now we're up to the final track, finishing with a Guess Who track, These Eyes, off the Wheatfield Soul album in 1969. B-Mac said a nice ending song, mainly a Randy song, but Burton helped complete it. I found it was first released as a single, backed by Lightfoot in their native Canada, where it's chart success number 7, along with the influence of CKLW-AM, Windsor's radio station. Music director Rosalie Trombley helped land them a U.S. distribution deal with RCA Records. It was then released in the U.S. in March of '69, became a breakthrough success for the group, as it would be their first single to reach the top 10 on the Billboard charts, peaking at number 6. So a very important song to finish this thing off. As he so often does, B-Mac got this one right. This is a perfect way to end this. I think this is my favorite song on here. Right? It's about a love lost, right? She promised him she was going to be there and she's not, and now Burton can't get over. I mean, we got horns, we got Burton's vocals are just fantastic. These eyes are crying, these eyes have seen a lot of loves, but they're never going to see another one like I had with you, like that one that got away. And just the way he delivers that, the instrumentation spot on, horns and everything else. Yeah, man, love that one. So my favorite tracks, it's easy to choose the big hits, but I mean, I've got to choose You Ain't Seen Nothing Yet. I've got to choose that. I'm going to choose Let It Ride. I just like the sentiment of that one. Of course, American Woman, you got to do it. I liked Roll On Down the Highway. I liked Running Back to Saskatoon, and it might have been just because of the live performance, I don't know, but I liked. And then this song right here, These Eyes, this last song, is my favorite one on here. My overall thoughts on this, I'm so glad that B-Mac put this together. He always does such a wonderful job on these selections, right? Because I didn't know a lot about the Guess Who or BTO coming into this, but between doing the research and listening to this, now I feel like I have not some sort of great knowledge of them, but Guess Who is considered by many as Canada's greatest rock band of all time. I needed to know more about them. Really enjoy this. One of my big takeaways is I've done a solo album, Burton Cummings' Dream of a Child, for one of our other patrons, Joseph, and that album was fantastic. Burton is a great, great vocalist. You can read these stories about their breakups, and it kind of villainizes Burton. And there's always two sides to every story. I don't know the story. I just know this. Like, he is a fantastic vocalist, man. Very underrated. You don't hear him brought up, but powerful, can carry just about anything. And this show's back in 1969. I mean, him and just early on, just a pure voice, man. So love that. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. Thank you, B-Mac, for another fantastic selection. And until next time, guys, I will see you.